We're now ready to actually build this circuit as drawn. I've got here an Arduino and I've got a breadboard. And though this drawing does not include a breadboard anywhere, we know that when we're going to make these electrical connections, we will have a much easier time if we actually use a breadboard. So what I'm going to do is just step through this schematic little bit by little bit until we've completely built the circuit. And when you're just starting, going carefully and piecewise is really the right way to do it. The first thing that's going to happen is that power is going to connect from pin 8 to a resistor. I'm going to use a wire. This happens to be a purple wire for no special reason. Purple is not a reserved color. Red generally means 5 volts. Black generally means ground, but purple is whatever. I'm going to plug it right into pin 8. And where should the other end go? Well, I'm just going to plug it somewhere in the breadboard. It doesn't really matter where. Sure, I just plugged it into row 6, but I could plug it into row 17. It doesn't matter. The breadboard is just there to provide a bunch of connections. I just dropped my LED. So the next thing, we're right here in the circuit. The next thing is this resistor. Now, we actually don't have a 250 ohm resistor. That's actually not a common part to have. You'll remember from when we were learning about flow and rate and pushing and voltage and all that, it's okay to have more resistance when we're driving something like an LED. It's not okay to have less. Less is a problem. There'll be too much current flowing. So the next best resistor, the next one up after 250 ohms is 270 ohms. And this resistor is marked with, if I put the gold band at the right, I know it's difficult to see these colors, but take my word for it, it's red, purple, brown. That is a red, purple, brown, gold. That is a 270 ohm resistor. In another video, we'll talk about how to read those colors. But for the time being, one leg of this resistor needs to touch pin 8. So that means I can plug that leg in anywhere in that row. The other leg I haven't put anywhere yet, but that leg is there. But now we're here. We've jumped to the far side of the resistor. Where should the far side of the resistor go? Well, it can really go just about anywhere we want. I could put it up here. I could put it over here. I could put it down here. It just has to be some other row. The breadboard provides a world of possible places to connect things, but it doesn't matter which place we put it. So I'll just leave it like that arbitrarily, and that'll be that. Now I have to find the LED that dropped on the floor. They are very small. I'll grab another LED. So this LED is a little green one. You will notice it has 2 legs of different length. That is not a mistake. The manufacturer gave you 2 legs of different length so that you could tell something very important about it. Well, look at the LED drawing. Remember the LED, the D is diode. There's a direction here. We can't just put it in the circuit in either direction. By the way, the resistor does not have specific direction. It can be put in either orientation and it will be the same thing. All it does is resist no matter which way you turn it. But this diode, direction matters. So what is the key? Well, the longer leg is the positive side, this side here, and the shorter leg is the negative side of the LED. So you can think of the longer leg as the inlet, the side that the power goes in, and the shorter side as the outlets, the side the power goes out. So if I were to draw a little drawing of the LED, long and short, this would be the power in, and this would be the power out. That's one way to think of it. So the long leg, I'm going to put, where does it connect? Let's just look back at the schematic. It connects to this place right here. It connects to the far side. This is the side close to the Arduino, the far side of the resistor. So I'm going to take the long leg and plug it into that row. And this will involve bending the legs a little, and that's fine. So now the LED is plugged into the resistor row. Now, where should the other leg of the LED go? Well, how about I'll just plug it in any other place? So I could plug it in like down here, for instance. Yeah. So now the LED is plugged in. And by the way, once it's plugged in, it's going to be hard to tell which leg is positive and which leg is negative. So maybe be careful as you're plugging it in. It's a common mistake to get them backwards by accident. Before I proceed, I actually am noticing that the power is on this whole time. I'm going to unplug the Arduino. It's a good idea when you're rewiring things to start with it unplugged. So sorry about that. I had it plugged in for a specific reason, which is that I wanted to show you that if we want to see, is this LED wired up properly? Well, tell you what, we'll finish the wiring and then we'll do that checking. The circuit is not yet complete because the far side of the LED needs to connect to ground. I'm going to use a black wire for that because that is the convention. We use a black wire to connect things to ground. I'm going to connect that black wire to the same row as the LED and then plug it into ground, which is right there on the Arduino. I am leaning all the way over to make sure that it's the ground that I'm plugged into. And if I look at it from the edge, I can see, yes, that is plugged into ground. Easy mistake to accidentally not plug it in the right spot. So do be careful and do look at these things from the edges to get that right. Sorry, it focused for a moment. You get the idea. So this wiring is complete. This wiring matches this. Now let's say I just want to see, is the LED wired properly? Well, what I could do, because we haven't written code for the Arduino that's going to do anything with pin 8, but the Arduino does have a 5-volt power supply. So what I could actually do is unplug this purple wire and just plug this side of the wire into 5 volts. And if this is wired up properly, then I will be basically building this circuit at that moment, because I'll be plugging one end of, this is the purple wire, I'll just plug it right into 5 volts. There will be power. The Arduino will be like a battery in that moment. So let's just try that to see if I've wired everything up. So the Arduino turned on, and now I plug it into 5V, and lo and behold, the LED lights up, actually really quite bright, lights up. So the LED is working. So to complete the wiring, I'm gonna, instead of plugging it into there, I'm gonna plug it into pin 8, and that's perfectly valid. Come back next time, and we'll learn how to make that thing actually blink.